here we go again. Earlier this year, I received the key to review the very first Dragon Ruins game on Xbox. To sum up the game's epicness, you build a party from various classes, but honestly, the classes didn't matter. You explored a couple of 900 tiled dungeons that was void of anything interesting. No chests, no puzzles, no traps, just monsters you didn't actually fight. You step on a monster tile and your party would auto-battle. The core gameplay loop involved multiple return trips to town to spend gold for monster kills to level up your party or improve their equipment. There was no individual gear, it was just generic equipment levels. Once you defeated the dragon boss, a year passed in games and you were told that another dragon had appeared, allowing you to keep playing indefinitely. The in-game years didn't matter, although I assumed at the time it was a subtle challenge to see who could beat the dragon in the fewest years. After I finished editing and uploading that review, I went looking for marketplace links to put in my original doobly-doo for Dragon Ruins. That's when I discovered that the game was already released on Steam and was being ported. Not only that, it already had 2 sequels. Reading the storage page for the sequel, I was surprised to see it claimed to address most of my issues I had with the first game. That was genuinely good news. Although I hadn't been in position to buy games at the time, I told myself I will pick up the sequel eventually to check it out. Well, as luck would have it, KEMCO sent me a key for the upcoming Xbox port of Dragon Ruins 2. If you enjoyed the first Dragon Ruins, this sequel makes the original feel like a demo. Classes matter. You have more of them and they actually have an impact on the early game. Multiple maps and quests instead of just one main map and a remix map. The game starts with 15 quests of increasingly difficulty that you can pick in any order. Each quest sends you to a new map, with one of the quests even bringing back the original map from the first game. This game underwent a visual overhaul. We have walls now. It's definitely nicer to look at, although I have 2 minor complaints. The camera often looks like it's stuck in a Dutch angle, and I wish more colors were used. It's mostly browns, blues, and purple. Dungeons are now filled with treasure chests that only spawns in rooms, giving you items, gold, equipment. Your party members can now be equipped with different weapons, armor, and accessories, which is a huge improvement over equipment level 26. The developers even somehow improved the year system from the first game. Every year is now your party's birthday, and everyone gets gifts. Overall, it's a massive improvement over the original Dragon Ruins, and considering everything from the first game is included here, it makes the first game obsolete. However, there's still a lot of room for improvement. You will still be standing around waiting for your party to kill monsters with the auto battle system. However, the developers did add a new United Attack limit break thing. A bar has been added, and when it's full, you can hit the button to deal massive damage. And just like other games with limit breaks, you're saving that for bosses. Also, I found myself rarely upgrading equipment in town because it was just so expensive compared to leveling up your party members. Now let's talk about quests. When you complete a quest in a dungeon, it gets replaced with a new one. For example, maybe goblins took over this church. Uh-oh, now that you cleared out the goblins, it's zombies! And after clearing out the zombies, you might hear about someone summoning demons. Every time you re-enter a dungeon for a new quest, the monster layout changes, and sometimes you get a different color palette. However, the boss is always in the same room. You can buy warp scrolls in town. Here's the loop. Beat the quest boss, clear the quest, warp back to town using a scroll you just bought, and go right back into the dungeon right in the boss room to fight the new quest boss. You can rinse and repeat this until you complete all the quests for a dungeon or just to farm gold. Each dungeon has anywhere from 3 to 8 quests, and since the map layouts never change and the boss is always in the same square, you're literally running the exact same path to the boss every single time for each map. And unfortunately, the maps don't do much to differentiate from each other. There's one neat tower map that has you climb 9 floors, avoiding traps and just teleporting up. That's interesting. There's another map that looks like a warp maze, but most of the warps just put you on the other side of the wall instead of using a door. And dungeons now have traps, but they don't do much. I often found myself rushing to bosses by crossing bottomless gaps to speed through the game. I mentioned that the classes have an impact on the early game. That's because passes are now in the game. The priest heals the party a single hit point every combat. It's something. However, every 5 levels, you get an option of passes to add to your characters. This means everyone can get that priest passive. There are already guides on Steam written for this game that explains how the classes ultimately don't matter and what party you should pick from the very beginning. This also lets you ignore another change, the ability to rearrange your party into rows, similar to Final Fantasy, squishies in the backs, tanks in the front. My 100% completion of this game took me 8 hours and 30 minutes. In comparison, the first game took me 2 hours, and half of that was just figuring out how to play Dragon Ruins. I'm sure if I followed those perfect party guides, I could have cut an hour or 2 off my playtime for Dragon Ruins 2. The improvements over the first Dragon Ruins are a massive step forward from nothingness. However, even with all the additions, Dragon Ruins 2 still feels a bit empty. Despite that, I still recommend giving this game a try if you're looking for a cozy dungeon crawler that won't break the bank. Definitely buy this one over the first game though. That's it for this review. Do all the usual YouTube positive stuff down below, like comment, subscribe, and I'll catch you next time.